first motion. Mr Mayor, the next item of business is to consider a motion in the name of Councillor Grant relating to the leasehold reforms.
Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, members of the Council. Over the last 12 months, I've been assisting a large number of residents in relation to an unscrupulous vulture of an individual who has preyed on the fears and worries of residents, some of whom are in their 70s and 80s. It sounds criminal, yet it's all within the law. I am talking about a freeholder of a number of leases in Horwich who came by his windfall by purchasing around 100 freeholds from auction for just £8,500. What's worse is that these peppercorn leases were originally, in fact, owned by this council before we disposed of them via PSP, and then ultimately into the hands of this individual. He has been to the homes where minor alterations such as solar panels, conservatory, some for even installing UPVC guttering or painting a door, he's threatened foreclosure. Unless, of course, the residents agree to buy the freehold element of the property for sums sometimes as high as £15,000. These leases, if you exclude legal costs, are worth no more than a couple of £100. Yet some elderly residents have been scared into paying him. One 79-year-old borrowing £15,000 to pay him, borrowing at the age of 79. It is not only residents that have fallen foul to these sell-offs, but organisations that do well in our communities, such as the Masons at Ridgemont House, who are now being held to ransom to either pay substantial sums or be refused the right to hold weddings there. This council needs to stop looking at the short term and delve into the possible consequences of actions when it sells these leases. Whilst I've been assisting and advising residents with the help and guidance of a few solicitors and the National Leaseholders Association, it still does not remove the fact that this individual, who even has the audacity in his letters to state the people of Horwich ought to bow and doff their caps to him as he walks on by, is just legally trying to extort monies. This archaic feudal system of leaseholds should have been consigned to the history books long ago, and moves to do this is slowly happening. However, government are dragging their heels, deadlines and promises pushed back, and developers are already working loopholes into the system. I therefore ask this council that they request a letter is sent to our 3 elected MPs and the government requesting that the government delivers the leasehold reforms that were promised but continually delayed, and that they include the online calculator for lease extensions and enfranchisement as soon as possible. Prevents the sector from fixing capitalisation rates at a low rate in the calculation, as this will push up the cost for the leaseholder. Speeds up progress on other reforms that the Law Commission has worked on, such as the right to manage and common hold, as this will address the abuses we see today with service charges and insurance commissions, and implements planning policy changes to ensure councils adopt the estates residents live on in full. This will stop developers creating what we now call fleasehold, where fees are typically secured by a rent charge, which means if residents fall into default on those fees, the property can be converted from freehold back to leasehold, and so the cycle begins again. Furthermore, that this council resolves that it will no longer sell its reversionary freehold or leasehold interests to third parties without at least first offering the first refusal to the existing leaseholder at fair value. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you. I formally second the motion, and I would like to reserve the right to speak. Thank you.
The motion is before you and open to debate. Councillor Warren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, members of the Council. I have consulted with my colleagues and we agree.
Councillor Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I have consulted with my colleagues in the Labour group, and we agree.
Councillor Wilkinson.
I've not consulted with them, I've just told them it's a good idea.
No others? No other speakers? All right, okay. Councillor Wright, you want to use your right to reply?
Yes, what I asked,
Yeah.
so I will. When I brought this case to Councillor Grant, 12 months ago, we could not have anticipated the scale of the problems and the worries what was causing to local residents. What started as one case quickly escalated to the numbers we see today. I would like to thank Councillor Grant for bringing this motion, as I am fully aware of the hard work that he has been doing behind the scenes, getting campaign groups and solicitors together, working free on behalf of these residents. I would like to focus on point 2 of the motion, which asks this council to at least offer first refusal and interest in our leases and freeholds to the current holders. We are starting to see far too often now investors looking to circumvent the system to tilt the balance in their favour, all in the name of profit. The ones to lose out are usually our residents, and more often than not, those who are most vulnerable, the very ones we are charged with protecting. I would therefore urge members to approve the motion, of which I have again.
Councillor Grant, do you want to use your right to reply?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would just like to thank all members for their support, and I'm sure the residents of Horwich will appreciate it. Thank you.